Welcome to Quick Monster Hunter World Tutorials. Right now we're going to be seeing the Monoaxial CTC, or so called the single axis CTC. First of all, we're going to be focusing on this particular part of the scene. We want the swivel to rotate around this point. However, we want the axis to be properly aligned, and this doesn't quite look aligned if we look at it from world coordinates. That's going to pose a challenge, so let's get down to it. First, we're going to go and create a plane so that we have something to align with. We're going to be moving our plane all the way over here. We're going to be magnetizing. We're going to magnetize it to face. So there we go. Then we also want it to magnetize on angle, so we're going to be putting it right here. Let us move it there. There we go. We disable this since it's reserves, and we increase the size of the plane, and we're going to want to align it to the axis properly. It's a bit of manual work, which we probably want to avoid. In local coordinates, it's much easier to manipulate as it's already perpendicular to the surface that we want it to be tangent to. So now that we've got this, what else do we do? So we've got a bone. We need another bone that's going to act as a sort of guide. That's where the CTC is going to be rotating around. So we're going to duplicate this with Shift D. Then we're going to re-enable attaching to faces. We are not going to enable the angle because we don't want that. We just want to translate it. And once we have a sort of rough alignment of where we think that the CTC should be going, we're going to generate the CTC chain. We click on node 1, we click on node 2. Then we go and we make a chain from our selection. We have to realign it for visual reasons, and there we go. We would normally be almost finished here. It's just that because of the direction of the rotation, we want the blue arrow, the Z axis, to be going on the direction around which the object is going to spin. And for that, we're going to need an additional helper. So we're going to take our trusty plane and we're going to duplicate it again. Then we're going to set this to active element. We're going to rotate it 90 degrees. We're going to set this to increment. There we go, increment. We disable this, and we can rotate it 90 degrees again. Then we duplicate it again with Shift D, and we rotate again 90 degrees on the opposite axis. So now we want it to go along the line, so we're going to grab, and we're going to grab this empty, and we're going to duplicate it, and we're going to set it to attach to faces, and we're going to set it around here, which should be good enough. We no longer need those planes there. So what we're going to do next is we're going to click on our CTC node, the one that we want to align, and we want the Z axis to point upwards and the X axis to point to where it's still pointing, so frozen. We're going to go and use the point nodes to active projection, and we're going to set it to freeze X, orient Z, freeze X, and make Z point to the object we are selecting now. And there we go. Now it's going to be rotating around that axis. So we can now delete the helper. We can in fact enable the planes and also delete them since we no longer need them. And now next in line is the question of how far we want this to be able to rotate. And to mark how far we want it to be able to rotate, it's going to be magnetizing in X towards where the actual bone is. So for example, if we rotate it all the way, well, if we disable magnetization and we rotate it all the way around here, this thing is going to be swiveling around this about 120 degree angle. Normally it's going to start in this position, and then the valve is going to go all the way here, and it's going to be swinging around there. So one additional thing we have to do is we have to go to our CTC chain, our relevant CTC chain, this one, and we're going to be applying a preset, which is going to be the miscellaneous one-axis rotation. After we've done that, we can start customizing how we want the CTC to behave, which we can do through the custom properties. The cone of motion is going to determine how much it swings around. Snapping is how tight it stays fixed to the initial location, while tension is how much it's going to be drawn to the location of the bone which we defined previously. You can set this to 0, and this will behave like an inertial object. It's just going to keep rotating unless something else makes it go the other way around, and whatnot. And that should be about all of it. It's not quite a difficult procedure. We just have a guide. We just have another empty on the same plane. We make them on the plane of rotation. Then we make the chain. Then we just ensure that we have the Z vector perpendicular to the plane where it's going to be rotating, or you could just say that the Z vector is going to be the axis of rotation. We use a helper and the orient node to active projection for that, and that should be about all of it.